Hey, what's going on, everyone? Uncle Bronson here. We're excited today because we have Kenzie here. Kenzie, how's it going?
It's good. Thanks for having me. I'm excited to be here.
Oh, man. Yeah, we're so excited to have you on our podcast today. Man, how about you go ahead and just tell us everything about you, like what's going on in life, where you started, how you got to, playing volleyball at BYU?
For sure. Yeah, so I started playing volleyball when I was 7th grade, 8th grade. I played soccer for a few years, and then my parents told me I was too tall, so we transferred over to volleyball, and so I hated it at first. I was like this little skinny thing that couldn't even serve the ball over the net. So fast forward a few years, I played volleyball for a club in Irvine called T Street. It was a great club. Recommend it to anyone that's trying to get into volleyball and lives in Orange County. So played there my 16s, 17s, and 18s, and then I went on to play for the University of Utah, where I played 4 years, and then COVID hit, kind of changed my life plan a little bit. So we didn't play my senior year in 2020, so I played again in the spring. We had a good year, lost in the round of 32, which was unfortunate, but I was either going to go play pro or decide to play another year of college, and I was like, well, I felt like there was something else I needed to see in life, so I transferred about 45 minutes south down to BYU. So Here I am. Yeah.
Nice. That's awesome. So how's it been going for you since you came down?
Yeah, it's cool. I got here early June. I was home for a while. I was in Hawaii, then I was back at home for a few weeks. Then I came back beginning of June. It definitely was an adjustment. At first, I was like, oh, it can't be that different. I've done this for 4 years. I'm not a freshman coming in somewhere new. So, but it was different. I walked into the weight room and I look at the sheet and it's in kilos. And I was like, what does this mean? I'm like, wait a second. I've lifted pounds my whole life. So that weightlifting was definitely an adjustment. We just do a bunch of different lifts than we did at Utah, which is fine. It's been good. I've gotten a lot stronger, but I think the biggest adjustment was coming to a team where there's more married girls. Yeah. So I'm coming from Utah where all I ever did was hang out with my teammates. And so as I've been here longer, I've gotten closer with a lot of them, and they're awesome, great girls, but it is definitely different. I'm like, wait, you're going home to your husband tonight? I'm like, okay, well, guess I'll see you in the morning. But so it took a little bit of adjusting, but I'm learning. I'm meeting a lot of new people, a lot of new athletes, but I love it down here, so it's a good time.
Yeah, that's got to be pretty fun. You kind of get to be the new person on the block, and I know, like, going to a new NFL team, you're kind of nervous like that first day and week, I don't know, and then you start to get a little bit more comfortable. So that's awesome.
Yeah,
so welcome to Provo. All right, so let's see. You came down in June, you said. So you were here when the bomb went off for NIL, huh?
Yeah.
Tell me about that. Tell me about your thoughts first going into it, like hearing the buzz about NIL possibly becoming a thing.
Yeah, so I heard it early June. People were kind of talking like they're gonna make starting this summer, like, or this fall, you're gonna be able to make money off your name. And I was like, I thought that was like only USC and UCLA, because I heard that California schools, and then there was some talk like it'll be in 2023, and I was like, I don't know, I don't really care. So I'm just doing my thing, and then all of a sudden one day people start posting on Instagram, like a bunch of athletes, this like screenshot of like, as of July 1st, athletes can now make money off their name, image, and likeness. And I'm like, is this a scam? Like, I was like, is this like for everyone? Is this for just the LA schools? Like, what is this for? And so I started to kind of research a little bit, because I was like, well, I don't want to just like jump into something. Yeah. If I'm going to get in trouble for that. Yeah. So I'm kind of reading about it, and it's like, it's by state, and then I text one of my coaches. I was like, is this like a thing in Utah, or like what is it? And they kind of didn't really know. And then I think it kind of was just like a mess at first. Like everyone was like, we can do it, it's here for us. And I'm like, is it? So I was kind of hesitant at first with kind of getting started with some of this stuff, because I was like, I don't want to like get in trouble and whatnot. So like compliance, all that kind of stuff. So it kind of like for a minute I was like, this is weird, and I don't know if I should start doing stuff with NIL without knowing what the consequences were going to be. And then after a few weeks, our coaches kind of reached out to us, and the athletic directors at BYU and the all athletes group message, and we're like, hey, there's this NIL, they started Built for Life. So I was like, okay, like we can kind of get started with that. So it's just kind of been like where do you start though? You know, now that it's available to everyone, it's like, well, where do the companies start and where do we start kind of thing. So it was a little bit, and it still kind of is a little bit of like what's going on, but we're working with it. So
no, I think that's you know, that's so true. Is, you know, something new like this comes out and everyone's just kind of trying to figure it out, and everyone's has to do like their own research. And then you have to go talk to someone on your team or coach or something, and then you move from there.
Yeah,
so,
for sure.
Well, that's awesome though. That I guess everyone just feels the same. You know? So
I know. I'm like loving it. Yeah, I'm like, there's like right now it's kind of in that like, I feel like a lot of companies are just like free products, like, you know, do this for us and we'll give you some free products. It's not really like at that money stage yet. I mean, maybe it is for football. I don't know, but like, I'm like, I'll take some free products. So I mean,
seriously,
it's
free
cool.
products are best.
No, it's awesome. I'm like,
free
why
food,
hasn't this been around? Yeah, I'm like, why hasn't this been around forever? But
that's so cool. Yeah, I was thinking like, what would I be most excited about on like when it's fully going? I don't know. I mean, for me, I love food, so.
Same.
Free food all the time would be amazing.
Some people are like, you want money? I'm like, right now, I'm like big on like supplements and stuff. Like I love that kind of stuff. Protein, you know, like pre-workout, all that kind of stuff. So I'm like eating that up. I'm like, keep sending it to me. But so yeah, I'm big on like the supplement kind of stuff, and I love food. Like one of my teammates was like, I would probably want to sign with like a, you know, like work with a clothing company or shoes. And I'm like, yeah, that'd be cool. But I'm like, right now, I'm like, just free stuff. I'm like a handles addict.
Oh, there you
and
go.
And so they're like, what should we do for you? I'm like, just free ice cream all the time.
Ice cream.
Like, I'm like, I don't need anything else, just ice cream. So,
I love that.
So, yeah.
Dang, that's awesome.
Yeah, food's my thing, too. So.
Sweet. How about, what else would you want outside of food? Like, what would be your second option?
Yeah. Okay. Well, Built Bar's food, but I'm like, I love Built Bars, but I'm big on like essential oils.
Oh yeah.
So I mean, that is one nice thing about like being at BYU, and like their corporate sponsor is literally doTERRA.
doTERRA.
Yeah. So I've kind of been talking with a few people like in our circle that have connects with doTERRA people, and so that would probably be my big thing. I'm like obsessed with essential oils. So
I love them too.
Yeah, I know they're awesome. So I'm like, in here it's like they just hand you stuff. My trainer's like, here, take these, and it's all doTERRA. I'm like, keep it coming. So
do you have a diffuser?
I do.
Hey,
use it every morning, every night.
Yeah.
I'm all about putting it on the back of my neck and my temples. Yeah. And like, so I knock out when I put on the lavender. So it's awesome. Yeah, I love oils. That'd probably be my like second.
Your
thing.
second?
Yeah.
Okay, cool. Right on. I just was curious. Yeah. Food, oils. Perfect.
Love shoes, but that's probably down the road a little bit. So.
Oh man, that's great.
Yeah.
Okay, so we know what we know what you love about it and who do you want to work with. I guess what would you say is kind of like, how would NIL hurt a college athlete, or like not help them in a way?
Yeah. So I think. And I've already kind of like seen a little bit of it just in myself since it's come about. I feel like it'll be easy for kind of us athletes to get away from we're just here for an education and to play our sport and get better. And now it's kind of becoming a more social. What does my Instagram look like? You know, how many followers do I have here? How do I get more? And so like, I think that can be kind of a slippery slope in terms of it could get easy to forget that we're here. Okay, we're here to play our sport, like, and that's how it's been my 4 years. You know, I got my scholarship, came to get an education, but all my focus was getting better at volleyball. You know, winning championships, like whatever it is.
Yeah.
And I think like obviously D1 athletes, like, you know how to compartmentalize that kind of stuff, but I think it could be a slippery slope,
like overbearing.
In terms of. Yeah. Being like, oh, I need to have this many followers as this person. And personally, like, I think social media it's a great platform, but it also could be dangerous. There's a lot of comparison. There's a lot of that kind of stuff that goes on. So I think that is kind of one of the bigger concerns that I would say. Yeah. Like, I only have one season left, so I'm like, I'm not really too worried about it for myself.
Yeah.
But I think, you know, people that are freshmen or in high school, they're coming into this world now of like, if I don't have 10,000 followers on Instagram, like, I'm not going to get this big of a contract as that person.
Yeah.
You know, so
they're
it's
coming in thinking about it.
Yeah. So it's a little scary to not, like, I was full, like, okay, volleyball, you know, and I still am. Like, that's all I really care about this season. But I definitely think, like, it's just because it is so new and exciting, like, especially right now, just during the summer, we're not really competing, playing a ton. So it's like, what can I do on the side with this?
Yeah.
But it's like, okay, when August 9th hits and it's like fall camp, like you kind of have to like get that a little bit out of your mind. But it's like, it'll be interesting to see like how you can still work with companies and if you sign with like an agency or whatnot. So I think that would probably be my biggest concern with what's to come.
No, yeah, I can totally see that. You know, you don't want to get distracted, and right, as athletes, you learn you have to compartmentalize. You know, when you have to be where your feet are. You know, when it's time for practice, it's practice.
For sure.
When it's time to study, it's studying. And so, yeah, I think that's a good. You know, that's also just some good advice for any athletes that are currently listening, especially high school kids.
For
you
sure.
know, I think that's so important. And with that, I think, you know, when you're, I don't know, something that I found with like in the NFL, when you're playing and it's going well, now you got more attention on you. So now you have to handle it. Now you have to handle it in a way where you have to like use the attention like for your favor.
Right.
And so I think that's going to take some time, maybe.
For sure.
You know, at like the college level. I don't know. What do you think about that?
Yeah, I mean, for sure. I agree totally 100% with that. But it's like, it's not like, and it sounds like but it's the way the world is. Like, people that are better at their sport, let's say, and just put it in those terms, like are going to get those bigger offers and people that want to work with them more. And so I think that's another thing that, especially I'd say at the football level, and like, but I think it changes kind of the recruiting process a little bit for even, you know, volleyball, soccer, track and field, whatever it is. Like, if you have this team, let's say for football, you have this school that maybe not historically is as good of a program, but they like have the money that they're willing to offer you. And then you have, I don't know, Alabama up here, but maybe you're not like at the top of their list, so they don't have as much money that they would want to like offer you. Yeah. It's like, okay, I feel like a young kid would be like, okay, I'm going with more money, but it's like, what is eventually that ends, and has that helped you prepare for your future outside of college and after football? So I think like it's definitely, we are like, our brains are still underdeveloped even like as college kids in high school, you know, and so it's making irrational decisions, I feel like is really kind of going to be a fine line there. And so if you can have your head on straight and like be grounded with what you still believe, and like, okay, I came here to still get better at my sport. Like, I still have these goals after college, because it's easy to get into like what's going on right now. And like, I'm getting a lot of attention or free products from this company. And it's like, but I'm going to now focus more on that. And then it's like, oh, I'm not playing anymore. You know, stuff like that. So then you kind of decline on your performance. And so I don't know. I think just to put it into a shorter story than I just rambled about is like, I think it's important as college athletes to still remember like why we're here.
Yeah, so that's so true, because that's what got you there, and that's what's you don't want to forget like what made you. Right. You know what I mean? Exactly. I think that's so important, especially when there's so many like outside voices.
For sure.
Yeah, that's great advice. So you were talking about outside of, you know, your sport. What would you do outside of your sport when you're done playing? You're done playing now. What are you going to be doing?
Yeah, so I'm done playing almost my last college season. We'll be done playing in 6 months, but I want to play forever. Like, I'm like, wait, no, I'm not ready yet. So I'm planning on playing pro.
Awesome.
Hopefully starting in January. My top place that I would like to start is Puerto Rico. So
sweet.
It's a 4-month season, and it makes great money for 4 months versus going overseas to Europe is 9 months. So a lot of people do that, start August and go till about March to April. Is like a 9-month season. So
I didn't know that.
Puerto Rico is a really competitive place because you're by the beach. You go to volleyball, then you go to the beach all day. Yeah. But it's also a shorter season for almost the same amount of money. So a lot of girls want to play there because it's still U.S. territory. You're not totally far away, but so I mean that's the plan. That was the plan before COVID started. When I was supposed to play my senior year, I was going to graduate in December and then head off overseas. So I don't know how long I'll play overseas. It could be 1 year, it could be 5, could be 10. Who knows? You know, at this point in my life, I'm like, you can't plan for anything. Really, everything changes all the time. So I've given up on like creating this concrete plan because I'm like, it never works. So, but after that, I could see myself coaching. I want to come back, and I've coached for a few club teams in California, and up here I've done a ton of work with a few of the local clubs, and so I mean, if I'm not playing volleyball, I kind of want to stay in it, you know? And so if that means I just can't really picture myself as someone that's working like a 9-to-5 job. Yeah. So I'm like, yeah, that's not the route for me. Yeah. So I want to stay in volleyball some way or another. Even if it's not coaching, you know, I got my degree in communications and kind of involved in the sports world there. So I feel like there's a lot of opportunities there. I always thought I wanted to be a sports broadcaster, and I still could see myself doing that. But definitely right now I would say playing pro and then coaching would kind of be the route that I would suspect I go, but who knows?
Yeah. Oh, that's so cool. That's so cool. All right, one last question for you. What advice would you give your younger self that's in high school right now, just playing the sport, and you have a desire to play on after that? Yeah, what's the advice you're giving?
So
yourself?
One thing that I really didn't figure this out until kind of this past season. It's like, well, you've been through 4 years of college and you just figured this out. Figuring out your why, I think, is really important, because a lot of times when you're young, you start playing because your parents put you in sports. And, you know, okay, like for me, my parents put me in volleyball because they're like, we don't want to pay for college, so this is your best bet of getting a scholarship, you know? And so it was kind of like, okay, scholarship. And then when I got the scholarship, it was like, okay, now I'm going to play. I like the sport. It's fun, you know, but I had a lot of struggles. I feel like throughout my 4 years at Utah, of like, there were really highs and really lows. And I feel like it was kind of that roller coaster because I hadn't quite figured out why I was playing volleyball. You know, I feel like for a lot of the time that I had grown up playing, it was like, it's taking up my time. You know, I go to school, I go play volleyball, and because my parents kind of were like, this would be great, and a lot of people told me, you'll be good at volleyball. And so I was like, okay, this season I still was experiencing like, I hate this, like I'm over it, like I want to be done and burnt out. And then it was kind of like, I really had to take a moment to like reflect and soul search and be like, do I hate the sport or do I hate what my situation is? You know, and then I had to really realize like, no, I love the sport because I go home and I can be in my old club, my gym there for 4 hours a day, just like passing, you know, getting reps. And so I'm like, no, I love the sport. And I had to kind of figure out why I was playing. And so I wish that I would have taken the time to do that my freshman year, maybe, and kind of sophomore year, and have had that foundation to go through the struggles that you face as an athlete, but I didn't. And so my struggles turned into like deficits. So it was like I could have probably prevented some of the damage that was done to myself, like internally, because if I had known, like I play because I literally love the sport. And so thinking about being done in December, because there is a possibility I don't play pro, you know, and thinking about not playing at this kind of level ever again, it like really shakes me to my core, because I'm like, oh my gosh, like this has been my life, you know? And so I think just figuring out like really why you do it, and like, is it bringing you the joy and the passion, or is it fulfilling that for someone else? So, I mean, that's always what I tell the younger kids is like, figure out now why you kind of are playing. So
no, that's so great. You have to know your why, so then you can keep sacrificing and keep loving the game that you have grown up learning to love.
For sure.
So, man, you were awesome today.
Thank you. I appreciate it. Thanks for having me.
Yeah, no worries. I feel like you shared with us awesome advice and things about, you know, NIL that everyone want to hear. So appreciate your time, Kenzie.
Thank you, for sure.